The IMF Annual Meeting Report on SK Newsline is brought to you by the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank and Hope Economics.
Mimi, what's that sound? There is no better time to discover what your National Bank Visa debit card can do. It can get you out of a pickle. Using my National Bank Visa card is fast, secure, and convenient.
Cashless SKN is our new lifestyle choice. National Bank, always here.
I'm Andre Huey of SK Newsline here at the IMF headquarters, the International Monetary Fund headquarters in Washington, D.C., reporting on the IMF and World Bank annual meetings 2022. The first one they're having face-to-face in more than 2 years, as they would have had to schedule virtual meetings over the last couple of years due to the COVID-19 crisis. Well, today in our report, we're going to be focusing on an interview we had with the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy Antoine, who's actually here. He's participated in a number of sessions here at the IMF annual meetings. One of those meetings was a meeting of Caribbean leaders, Caribbean prime ministers, ministers of finance, and various officials from various countries in the Caribbean. It was a closed-door meeting, so it wasn't open to the media, but we've had a chance to speak to him after that meeting to get a synopsis or an idea of what was actually discussed at these sessions. Now, one of the things he spoke about was, of course, the importance of the Caribbean economies to strengthen against any possible recession that may be on the horizon. He did point out that at this stage, however, the countries in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, they're not projecting a recession at this point in time.
We are not at this stage projecting a recession. We're still projecting growth next year. We are still recovering from COVID. Tourism is rebounding very well. Frankly spoken, the difficulty with tourism is really air connectivity, as in regional air transport. If we had better connectivity arrangement, we'll be doing even better on tourism and overall economic growth. But what is happening with inflation is definitely putting a damper on things. And so we expect to grow next year, but not as fast as we had originally hoped. Next year, at the moment, we're still forecasting 5%. We will revise that towards the end of the year. So I'm not in a position to say what that target or number will be. But in the ECCU, we still expect growth next year.
However, the governor pointed out that the meetings they've had so far have focused intensely on inflation and how the global inflation, the impact it's having on Caribbean economies. And also, they've been looking at financing climate action. This is one of the major topics being discussed here because climate change, as we know, has a great impact on small island developing states. And the governor would have made some overtures, so to speak, on behalf of Caribbean countries as it relates to climate financing. So he gave us a synopsis of some of the general ideas that have been discussed in the meetings so far.
Inflation. Without a doubt, inflation has been the most talked about issue. I think everywhere around the world, countries large and small are grappling with this issue of inflation, cost of living, shock. We're very concerned about the impact on food prices on the most vulnerable, our people, and of course the price on energy. So the discussion has been about what can we do to try to manage this as quickly as possible. Clearly, the central banks, the major central banks, have a role in respect of raising interest rates to get inflation down. There is a concern that as they do that, they could bring on a recession, which nobody wants, and we are already seeing the global economy slowing. So there's a lot of discussion about how to do this without landing the global economy in a recession. It's not easy. It's a very narrow path, and there is going to be, as you saw from the forecast from the managing director of the fund this week, there will be a slowdown, and in some countries, it looks like there'll be a recession.
Now we will present you more of our conversation with the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in subsequent reports. We also will be providing in our next report an update on the state of the economies in the Western Hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere Department of the IMF will be having a press conference later today. And of course, we will be posing questions specifically about St. Kitts Nevis. And as I indicated earlier, we will also try and get an interview with someone from the IMF that deals directly with St. Kitts Nevis so we could get some more insights into the projections and the prognosis of the St. Kitts Nevis economy. Coming to you from the IMF headquarters in Washington, D.C. For SKN Newsline, I'm Andre Huey.